Hi, and welcome to this video on the courage to speak up. I'm Andrew Bryant, and I have been talking for 25 years on how to speak up. Firstly, as a speaker, I've had to speak up as myself and to share my message. And I have coached and helped other speakers to speak up. And I am coaching people to speak up within their organizations. I work with women in leadership programs to help women speak up. I've worked with at-risk and disadvantaged teenagers to help them speak up. So with this 25 years experience, today in this video, I am going to share with you 7 strategies that you can use to speak up in your organization, get your message heard, and why that's important. These strategies will change your life. Trust me, I have seen the transformation in the way people's confidence and their influence capital changes when they apply these strategies. And we can't go to our graves with the song still in us. We need to get this out. So this will literally change lives. So 7 strategies coming your way. And because I'm doing this video on a Black Friday, I will also be giving you some specials that will help you with your ongoing learning. What better to do than invest in yourself at this time rather than perhaps just another big screen TV. So first thing we need to address is what is the cost of speaking up? What is the cost of speaking up? And this is a question that I ask of all of my management students when I'm teaching on an MBA program or a management development program and an executive education program. I ask this question. And it's interesting that the answers I hear, grown up, super educated, wonderful people will tell me that they fear. They fear speaking up. They fear that if they were to speak up, that they would hurt somebody's feelings, whether they would hurt their boss's feelings, a colleague's feelings, even a subordinate's feelings. And the other fear is if I do speak up and nobody listens, then my own feelings are going to be hurt. I've gone out, put myself out there, and I would fear the response. And so this lack of self-leadership around ownership of our feelings is very key. And of course, I have written 2 books on the topic of self-leadership, spent 20 years researching self-leadership and overcoming this fear, this emotionally crippling fear of what other people think is incredibly important. Now, the other thing that my coachees or management students will say when I ask them, what is the cost of speaking up? They say, well, it's not our culture. Now, honestly, I'm British by birth. I spent 18 years in Australia. I spent 17 years in Singapore, working across Asia from South Asia, India, through to China, with Vietnam, Thailand, in between. If I had $1, I guess, for every time somebody said it's not our culture, well, I would be buying some very nice Christmas presents this year. But here's the thing, culture is always fluid. And culture is created by the people within the culture. And yes, I'm not speaking to people in North Korea or in countries that have military juntas where you would disappear for speaking up. I'm talking about speaking up in an organization. And organizations are trying. They tell me when I'm consulting to them, they are trying to get people to speak up. So CLM is not what speaking up is. Now, CLM is an acronym for career limiting move. And so speaking up is not I repeat, not a CLM. Now, there are career-limiting moves, and speaking up is not one of them. However, an element of executive presence, which I'll talk about in a little while, an element of executive presence is the ability to read the room. So obviously, speaking up when everybody's been told to be quiet, the boss is talking, then obviously that would be a career-limiting move. But speaking up the right way, and that's what I'm going to share with you today. Speaking up the right way is going to enhance your career, not limit it. And as the great Martin Luther King said, courage faces fear and thereby masters it. Cowardice represses fear and therefore is mastered by it. Now, this was a black man speaking up at a time when it was very unsafe to speak up. And I get it. He paid a price for that. But mostly what we're talking about, speaking up when you have an idea, a perspective that would advance your organization's objectives. That's what we're talking about today, and the courage to do that. Now, the other thing is, what's the cost of not speaking up? If you have ideas and you are creative and you could contribute, what is the cost to you of not speaking up? Well, no visibility in an organization means no advancement. I was coaching as part of my group coaching program for C-Suite Accelerator. I was coaching a lady 2 weeks ago, and she was saying about the fact that she needed to speak up and influence her boss around an element of strategy. And this boss doesn't know anything about her particular area of domain expertise, which she has 25 years experience in. And I'm like, well, why didn't you get the job as the global head? She said, I have no visibility to head office. And yet she has the experience. And so we were coaching her to get visible. So strategy number one is to reframe speaking up, to have the confidence to speak up, because the cost of not speaking up, right, is not as great as the cost to you. Rather, the cost to you of not speaking up is greater than the cost of speaking up. And here I am standing at Cabo de Roco in Portugal, just 20 minutes from my house. And this is the most western point of Europe. And as I stood there, where you can literally see the curvature of the earth, there's nothing between continental Europe and the United States. And I imagine those Portuguese sailors who traveled around the world, setting sail, having the courage to go west and try something new. And I thought, what's our excuse around courage? So I said it was Black Friday, and I wanted to give you some things to really accelerate your career and advance. And one of the things I want to give you today is Self-Leadership Accelerator. And Self-Leadership Accelerator is a program I recorded a couple of years ago. It's based on my 2016 best-selling book by the same name, Self-Leadership. You can get that on Amazon, or you can get the book as a download plus 7 coaching sessions with me pre-recorded, normally at $197 today, because it is the day when everybody offers you massive discounts for just $7. And what you need to do is go to blackfriday-selfleadership.com. And Andrea will add that link in the comments. Hopefully she's logged in there, and she will be able to put that Black Friday selfleadership.com. Go there, and you can immediately start accessing that material. Now, many of you may have seen my TEDx talk. You may have seen any of some other of my videos, and you will know I'm fond of saying that from the moment of your birth, when your mother brought you into this world, you were given a name, a nationality, an ethnicity, and possibly a religion and a football team to follow. You have been framed from birth, and it is our frames that influence the way that we see the world. And there are frames of culture to the point that people say it's not our culture. Culture frames people to say it's not okay to speak up. I remember working with a Texas-based but global computer company in Asia, and they had a culture in Texas of speaking up. Texans are very comfortable. They're big people with big voices. They're very comfortable speaking up. But in Asia, people preferred it to go round and say, well, I just want to have a word with you. So I said, well, why didn't you speak up in the meeting, right? So culture can influence us. Education, did you have an education that got you to stand up and present? The economics. Do I feel that I have the funding to speak up? Am I successful enough? Politics, identity, beliefs, values, and attitude. They frame the way we see the world. So these are frames. And I've already mentioned that we need to reframe speaking up as it's the thing that we need to do to move forwards in our career, and the cost of not speaking up is greater than the cost of keeping quiet. And in my 2012 book on self-leadership, the book I authored or co-authored with Dr. Anna Kazan, we use a chess analogy. Now, I love playing chess. I don't know whether you play chess or not. Chess has a number of pieces, and each piece moves a different way. And if you haven't done this exercise with me before, just bear with me. If you have done it before, well, do it again. So which piece on a chessboard is most like your personality at work? Is it the pawn moving slowly forwards and likely to be sacrificed early in a game of chess? Or are you more like the rook or the castle, right? Very, very risk averse, very conservative. Are you like the knight? You jump forward sideways, surprising the enemy. You're the entrepreneur, the creative person, because you're doing things, in a sort of a zigzag pattern, 2 forwards, 1 to the side. The problem, of course, for the knight is sometimes if they don't speak up the right way, then they can leave themselves exposed if they don't have the support of the other pieces. Then, of course, there's the bishop, which goes diagonally across the board. This is the salesperson in a hurry, cutting through the red tape and really just promising the client everything before operations has worked out how to deliver it, or R&D has even finished developing it. And then, of course, there is the queen, the most agile piece on the board, originally called the vizier in the Indian game of chess, the vizier or the advisor. This is the piece that goes forwards, backwards, sideways, diagonals, and is so busy looking after everybody else that it forgets to look after his or herself. And then, of course, there's the king, the most important piece on the board, but the piece that needs all the other pieces to protect him or her. So I don't know which piece you chose as you went through that in your mind, but of course this is a bit of a setup because I gave you limited choice, and if you chose, you just got yourself framed. Now, I'm sorry if you feel that I tricked you, but we are all framed from the moment of our birth by our education, by our roles, by our responsibilities. But organizations are creating new frames. One of those frames is a leadership principle from Amazon. And Amazon, like this Texas software company that I was talking about, is framing speaking up. Amazon, in its leadership principle, says leaders are obligated to respectfully challenge decisions when they disagree, even when doing so is uncomfortable or exhausting. Leaders have conviction and are tenacious. They do not compromise for the sake of social cohesion. Once a decision is determined, however, and I added the however, they commit wholly. So Amazon is framing their culture and saying, we want you to speak up. And so if you're watching this from Amazon, give me a like from that. That would be awesome. Because this is it says that speaking up is important. Why have people on the team who have expertise, insights, and silence them? That is crazy. So disagree and commit. So strategy number 2 is having the confidence to speak up. You've already reframed it, so therefore have the confidence to step into your role. Because just like chess piece, you could be different pieces in different situations. You can step back from the chessboard, read the whole play, and have the confidence to speak up, to move. So strategy number 2 is all about confidence. And I created a program 2 years ago called the Confidence Accelerator. It was a live coaching program over 6 weeks where it was part of a live coaching program over 6 weeks. The Confidence Accelerator was a section where we looked at how you use your mind and your body to communicate with confidence. Now, that program is on my website for $299 because today is Black Friday and because I'm about changing lives, getting people to get the career that they want to have. I'm going to let you have the Confidence Accelerator, basically giving it away to you for $97. And that includes the Self-Leadership Accelerator, which includes the download of my 2016 Amazon best-selling book by the same name. So let's move on. I've shared 2 strategies. First strategy is to reframe. Second strategy is to have the confidence to speak up. I want to talk to you about Lakshmi. Now, Lakshmi took the Confidence Accelerator program and as part of the Executive Presence program online from me a couple of years ago. Lakshmi came to me and said, I'm lacking confidence. I'm wondering, should I take an MBA? Now, I'm external faculty on a couple of MBA programs. I went on an MBA program myself a long, long time ago, back in the late 90s. And MBAs are very useful for understanding business, but they're not particularly useful at generating confidence. If you go in with lots of confidence in an MBA, you'll come out with more confidence. But if you go in with low confidence, it's not going to necessarily change you. And when I got to know Lakshmi, I realized she already had a PhD in microbiology. Right? So she already had the education. That should not frame her. Right? Some people have a chip on their shoulder. They don't have the right degree or diploma, and sometimes that's a problem. They need to get the skills. But she had a PhD in microbiology. She's a beautiful woman, and I'm not just labeling her in terms of the way she looks. She has won a beauty competition back in her native India, so she's been externally validated as beautiful. And she literally is beautiful on the inside and out. She's a mother of 2 boys, and she's even written a book, which herself became a best-selling book on cookery. So she has all these competencies, but she's not applying them with confidence. So what's going on? What's the inner dialogue? What is the narrative that is stopping somebody so beautiful and accomplished like Lakshmi from stepping into her confidence and speaking up? Now, I coach a lot of people, and so I get to hear their inner narrative. And I hear things from people like, I will be confident when I am competent. I will be confident when I am perfect. I will be confident if everything goes well. Other people are confident because they are lucky. Other people are taller, better looking, went to the right school, and so they are confident. Now, I don't know what your narrative is. I'm not going to tell you what Lakshmi's narrative was. That's confidential. That's between her and herself and her coach, which in this case was me. But we reframed that, and the results were tremendous. She went to her boss and spoke up. And she said, look, I'm a woman in STEM, science, technology, education, mathematics. I'm a woman in STEM. Women need to get more representation. I want some money from our organization to run a program to empower women to speak up. What a great mission. Awesome. And she's become a tremendous speaker. She's spoken on platforms. She's influencing women. She's changing lives. So I know these programs that I share change people's lives, make a difference to their career, and then that is a cascading forwards. So the cost of not speaking up is huge. So you need to choose a frame, just like choosing frames for your glasses that give you the lens through which you see the world. You need to choose a frame, a narrative frame, that empowers you. You need to do that, right? And Jeff Bezos, founder of Amazon, talked about having a personal brand. And he said that personal brand is what people say about you when you leave the room. Now, the other guy down below, well, that's me. The bald guy there is me. And I say executive presence is what will get you in the room in the first place. So executive presence is a little bit more than just confidence. Executive presence is the ability to project confidence, your confidence and your gravitas. Gravitas, your knowledge, your value. The ability to project confidence and gravitas and poise under pressure. To project it. So it's not just having confidence, it's the ability to project it into the room. Now, confidence is not arrogance. Confidence is not thinking you're better than somebody else. Confidence is not walking into a room judging others. Confidence is walking into a room knowing that you don't have to prove anything to anybody because you're good at what you do. So, as I said, a couple of years ago, I coached a group of people through the Executive Presence Accelerator. And this was the program that Lakshmi went through, which changed her life, changed her career. And that contains the Confidence Accelerator. It contains the Self-Leadership Accelerator program. And that's normally $997 on my website. Today for Black Friday, it's just $397. So you just go to the link I mentioned before, which is blackfriday-selfleadership.com, my website, of course, and you can see the Self-Leadership Accelerator, the Confidence Accelerator, and the Executive Presence Accelerator, and you can make a choice for what best fits you and your budget today. Now, one of the exercises that is in that program and an exercise that I run with executives when I'm coaching them is this. Hi, my name is, and my value to my organization is. It's like an elevator pitch. And it's really interesting that a lot of people really struggle to articulate their value to an organization. And I've run this activity time and time again. And so many people are discounting their value. And I say to them, what would happen to your organization if you didn't bring your unique self, your passion, your energy, your experience, your knowledge to work every day? And some people, I've never really thought about it. Well, what would happen? Well, sales won't be made, or sales won't be enabled, or compliance won't happen and the organization will get into trouble. Opportunities will be missed because there's not that insight. People won't grow and be developed by you. And so it's really interesting to flip it around, not just what's your value, but what would be missed. Now, if the answer to that is nothing, then you really need to work on your contribution to the organization, because speaking up assumes you have something to say. If you have no experience and no perspective, then probably you shouldn't speak up. But if you're watching this on LinkedIn or YouTube today, then I'm absolutely sure that you have a value and you need to learn to articulate that value. And so many people are playing this down because they're afraid of appearing arrogant. But as I said, confidence is not arrogance. True humility is having an accurate, neither overestimated nor underestimated view of your own abilities, right? Humility comes from the Latin humilitas, which means grounded, right? Like the earth, humus, all right? Not the chickpea dip, but humus, the compost, the grounded. So we're grounded in our competency. And the other part, of course, is being able to accept other people's perspective as equally valid as your own. See, when you speak up, it doesn't mean everybody's going to accept. It means you've shared your perspective. But the flip side of speaking up is you're also going to have to listen to other people as they speak up, right? So it's not speaking and not listening. You need to be able to do both. So strategy number 4 is to know your value. Know what it is that is happening for you. And in the Executive Presence Accelerator, we absolutely look in strategy 3 at the Influence Accelerator and in the Results Accelerator, very much how you build your value and your credibility within an organization. So as I said, this program changes lives, it changes careers, and I'm giving it away on this Black Friday for just $397. You just go to blackfriday-selfleadership.com and you'll have the option to start with the Executive Presence Accelerator or add on the Confidence Accelerator, or just jump ahead and go right in and take the Executive Presence Accelerator. Absolutely, it's a money-back guarantee. Absolutely no, it's a program that will change your life. Here's an activity that you may have come across before, and it's a thought experiment, and it involves two sisters, and let's call them Louise and Denise. Now, those just happen to be the names of my sisters, but let's say Louise and Denise both go in the kitchen and they are looking for an orange. And they go into the orange, go looking for an orange in the kitchen and discover that there is only one orange available. What do they do? Well, typically when I ask this question, typically I am told that they will cut it in half. Oh, by the way, hi, Gaynell from Washington, D.C., and hello, Alex from, I think from the Canary Islands. Alex, welcome. So what would you do? Would you cut it in half? Would you fight the sister for the orange? Would you try and find a substitution, a pear or an apple? Well, as I said, the majority, 80% of people will say, and sometimes up to 90% of people say, we'll cut the orange in half. And I said, fine, that's your choice. But here's my question. Is cutting the orange in half a win-win solution? And a lot of people will tell me, yes, it is a win-win solution. And that's where I have to disagree. If we cut the orange in half, it's a 50% solution. You got half of what you wanted. You wanted a whole orange, you came out with half. That's not win-win. That is a compromise. Now, sometimes in life, compromise is all the option we have. But if we lead with compromise, we'll never make it to win-win. To make it to win-win, what we need to do is to go to needs first, solution second. And hi, Fawood, welcome. I wonder where you're coming to us from. So how do we do that? We say to each sister, we say to Denise, you know, what's important to you about the orange? What do you need from the orange? And she says, well, I need the orange skin to make an orange cake. And we say to Louise, what's important to you about the orange? What do you need from the orange? And she said, well, I need the pulp to make orange juice. And it's like, wow, hang on a moment. One of them wants the orange pulp. One of them wants the orange skin. They both can get 100% of what they want. And this is a solutions approach. It is a win-win solution approach. And understanding what other people need is the ability to read the room, which is part of executive presence. Executive presence, the ability to project confidence, gravitas, poise under pressure, plus the ability to read the room, know what other people need. And this is something that I train, and it's in my new book, the new leadership playbooks coming out in the first quarter of next year. I'm just finishing that off now. It's going to the editor next week. And this diagram is in there. It doesn't matter that you can't read the text on there. You can buy the book and you'll read it. But the issue here is the difference between aggressive, passive, and assertive communication. In aggressive communication, we're articulating our needs, wants, beliefs, and opinions with no respect or concern for what anybody else wants, right? Passive communication is not expressing or downplaying our needs, wants, beliefs, and opinions. And this just leads to unhappiness, not speaking up, keeping your needs, wants, beliefs, and opinions to yourself. It is going to burn you inside. You're going to see people of less competence than you accelerate past you in the organizational ladder because no visibility, no advancement. So what's going to change your career and your life is to learn to be assertive, which is an honest, direct, and confident expression of your needs, wants, feelings, beliefs, and or opinions in a way that actively encourages the other person to share theirs, where they can create a win-win. Now you'll notice that I've actually put a kind of a balance on top of the triangle because it is a bit of a balance. How we honestly and directly communicate depends on the environment and on the culture. And you do need to learn to read that. And that is in all of my coaching, is how I help people to read the room and to find the right pitch, whether they are pitching to investors or they're doing a report to the company board or to their CEO. How can you be assertive? An honest, direct commitment. An honest, direct, and a confident communication. Take a note. The new leadership playbook is coming out first quarter of next year. That may not necessarily be the cover. That's what my publishers have mocked up. I kind of like it. I don't know. What do you think? Anyway, moving on. Strategy number 5 is be assertive. Be the driver, not the passenger in life. Being the passenger is being passive. Being the driver is being assertive. And of course, here I've used a graphic from the movies 1 and 2, Transporter. That's Jason Statham. You see the absolute likeness, don't you, between me and Jason? No, the only thing that we have in common is perhaps our hairstyle and the fact that we're both driving Audis. Anyway, so this is strategy number 5, be assertive. All right, and being assertive is part of the Executive Presence Accelerator, which, as I said, contains the Self-Leadership Accelerator, contains the Confidence Accelerator, is on my website for $997. It's available to you if you go to Black Friday-selfleadership.com. And thanks. I think I saw that Alex has put that in the chat box there, or the chat stream. Black Friday, one word, -selfleadership.com. And you can just have the Self-Leadership Accelerator for $7 if that's what you're ready for. You can have the Confidence Accelerator for $97, or you can have all of it for just $397 for today, because this is the day where we do this thing, this or perhaps Cyber Monday. All right, so let me tell you about Sarah. Sarah is one of the coachees from my group coaching program. Yeah, once a week I have a group of coachees that I take through an 8-week C-suite accelerator program. And Sarah was needing to influence her boss. So she was needing to speak up. So she needed the skills that I've shared with you. She needed the confidence. She needed to be able to read the room. She needed to know how to articulate her value, and she needed to do it in a way that would be received well. All right? And so I taught her strategy number 6, which is yes and. And if any of you have ever done an improv theater class or watched improv theater, you will know about this strategy. I use it a lot with my executives. And the yes and is the antidote to yes but. Yes, but will end your career. It could be a CLM. If your CEO said something to you and you said, yes, but, you've just discounted everything he or she just said to you. It'd be like me saying to you, I really like you, but it doesn't really matter that I said I really liked you. You know something negative is coming. So I was able to share with Sarah how she could say to her boss, I know that you've come out with this, and here are some insights that I have from my domain experience that will build on this and help you to achieve your objectives. So she wasn't saying that her boss was wrong, but her boss had missed some things. And so she was able to build upon her boss's issues or her boss's strategy and add her insights and become a trusted advisor to her boss, which gives her more visibility. And remember, no visibility, no advancement. So what she did was use strategy numbers 1 to 5 and add yes and. And if you learn nothing today, start doing that. If you catch yourself saying yes, but, tie a rubber band around your wrist, and every time you say but, flick that thing so it hurts. And put yourself on a but diet. That's right. You don't need diet pills. You need to go on a but diet. Yes, and will absolutely streamline your career and move you upwards because you are adding and contributing. This will change your life and accelerate your career. It certainly did for one of my coaching clients, Sarah. So if that actually piqued your interest, that you'd like to be a member of my C-Suite Accelerator coaching program, which runs for 8 weeks. And once a week, there's a 90-minute group call where I coach individuals, and you learn either by being coached or vicariously watching somebody else be coached, where you have access to a library of my online programs and recordings that I don't do public. Then message me through LinkedIn. If we're not yet connected by LinkedIn, by end of today, make sure you've connected with me on LinkedIn. I'll accept all requests today. So add me on LinkedIn. You'll just find me, look for me, Andrew Bryant. That's what my LinkedIn profile looks like. So you will be able to recognize that. And you can just message me directly, and I will let you know about the group coaching program. I'm not advertising where that is today because I need to know that you will be a fit for that group coaching program, because I want to make sure that everybody in the group is going to support each other and make sure that happens. So message me and I will send you a link where you and I can have a chat about that. We'll just put you through a little pre-qualifier just to make sure that, we're both on the same page and I can help you. So group coaching is something that I run. It enables me to leverage. And just in the last 12 months, we've had people make it to CFO, that's Chief Financial Officer, CPO, Chief People Officer, CIO, Chief Information Officer. And actually, from one of my one-to-one coaching sessions, we placed a CEO just in fact, the last few months as a result of that group coaching. And imagine the difference that would make to your career, being in the room where the decisions are made instead of having to execute decisions that you don't really understand. It's not about the money. The money is obviously better the higher you go in organization, but the impact that you make, your ability to leave a legacy, is much greater than just executing on issues. So message me through LinkedIn if that is interesting to you. Now, what else I added to this is I use something that comes from the airline industry, and that is something called CRM, Cockpit Resource Management, or crew resource management. And it came from the fact that planes would crash when the pilot was flying as opposed to the co-pilot. Now, this is counterintuitive. Typically, you would think that if the pilot is flying, he or she is more experienced than the co-pilot, you would be safer. You would be wrong if that was your assumption. Because if a pilot sees a co-pilot making an error, it's no problem for the pilot, because he's a higher rank or she's a higher rank, to say to the co-pilot, you're making a mistake. But flip that around, and in certain cultures, if you are the co-pilot, you see your boss, the pilot, making an error, you kind of think, well, maybe he or she knows what they're doing. Maybe I should shut up because I don't know. But I ask you the question, if you were the passenger, front seat passenger in a car, and you look over at the person driving the car, and it depends, which country you're in, whether you look left or right, and you are seeing that individual, their eyes are closing, their head's falling forwards, the car is drifting into oncoming traffic, you would say something. And yet in organizations, people are seeing lost opportunities, areas for improvement, efficiency, effectiveness, and they're not saying anything because they've not got skin in the game. That's not the way you're going to make it to the top of an organization. And so if you need to get the attention of a senior leader, get their attention. Call them by their name, call them by their rank, get their attention and say, hey, I have a concern. This is happening and it's concerning me. And that's those two steps. Hey, this is happening and it's concerning me. That's going to open the conversation. It's going to open the door. They're going to listen, unless they are incompetent, in which case the plane's going to crash. But if they've got competency, they hear you, use their name, you get their attention, you say, look, I'm concerned about this. Then you state the problem or the opportunity as you see it. You say, look, I see it's going this way. I think this is going to be a problem. And preferably, step 4 is to have a solution. I have an idea, I think, that will solve it. And then you get the buy-in, because it's their decision, usually because it's a hierarchy thing, then you say, hey, is it okay if we do this? Or do I have your support to do this? This is step 5. Now, let me just give you a case study that looks something like this. Get attention. Excuse me, Simon or Mr. Vice President. In terms of execution, I'm concerned that we may not have enough resources to deliver the system on time. So this is a concern, time. The problem is we have 5 full-time staff working round the clock, but at their current progress, we will still miss the deadline. Wow, that's a real problem. But you've got a solution. If we could borrow 3 experienced consultants from the other project for just 4 weeks, I'm confident we could deliver on time. Does that sound good to you, Simon? Do I have your agreement to proceed? Now, Simon, Mr. Vice President, may agree, or he may come up with an alternative solution, but you have positioned yourself with executive presence. You've used influence capital to offer a solution, and you will certainly become a trusted advisor, and it will raise your visibility. So strategy number 7 is learn to influence capital. And if you want to get all the way to the top of an organization, to the C-suite, my group coaching will definitely catapult you towards that, but you may want to engage me one-to-one to help you do that. I can only take on a few one-to-one clients each year. This year, I've been offline for a bit. I had a bit of a health scare earlier this year. If you read my blog, selfleadership.com/blog, you may have read, or in fact, I put it here on LinkedIn, that I had a big scare and I've taken some time off. But I'm back. I'm fully functional. It was great news. There was nothing, everything was benign and everything's good. And I'm back. I'm here in Portugal. I'm set up in my studio, as you can see, and I'm looking for just a few one-to-one clients to work with to get them all the way. And if they're already a leader, to help them scale their company. So strategy number 7 is that. And if that's what you're looking for, that you want to move all the way to the top of an organization, then engage me, Andrew Bryant, as your coach, and if that's a fit. So again, message me through LinkedIn, just find me there, and it would be my absolute pleasure. So do you remember all the steps, the 7 strategies, right? Starting from reframing, the cost of not speaking up is going to be greater than the cost of speaking up. In fact, speaking up is going to change your life, change your career, providing you do it properly. And I've shared 6 other strategies on how to do that so that you can be influential. I'm Andrew Bryant. This is the end of my LinkedIn Live. If you're just waking up in the US, have a great day. If you're just going to bed in Singapore, have a great sleep. And if it's the middle of the day for you in continental Europe, enjoy your afternoon. But I am passionate about waking people up, changing their lives by getting them to access their self-leadership, their executive presence, their influence capital. And so I have had a good day sharing with you. Thank you very much.